Blue political roundup. President Trump stripped the security clearance of a former top official Wednesday, prompting speculation he is trying to silence his critics. Former CIA Director John Brennan was appointed by President Obama. He has regularly called out the Trump administration. Just last month, he compared Mr. Trump's presidency to a Ponzi scheme. In a statement Wednesday explaining his decision, President Trump said in part, quote, Mr. Brennan has a history that calls into question his objectivity and credibility. Brennan fired back soon after. He tweeted in part, quote, my principles are worth far more than clearances. I will not relent. Joining me now from Washington is Jeff Mason. He's a White House correspondent for Reuters. Jeff, thanks for being with us. Is the president directly targeting his critics?
Well, I think to answer that question, you just have to look at the list of people that he included today in that announcement about other security clearances that he's considering taking away. Number one was John Brennan, who you just reported, but others on the list include Susan Rice, the former national security advisor to President Obama, and other prominent members, Democratic members of Obama's administration who have criticized President Trump. There weren't any Republicans on the list. There weren't any others who hadn't spoken ill of President Trump. So the action suggests that, yes, that's exactly what he's doing, targeting people who have said things that are critical of him and what he's done since becoming president of the United States.
And, Jeff, you asked Press Secretary Sarah Sanders Wednesday about how this all relates to freedom of speech. Let's hear what she had to say.
Not at all. The president has a constitutional responsibility to protect classified information and who has access to it. And that's what he's doing, is fulfilling that responsibility in this action.
But couldn't this set a precedent going forward regarding those who speak out against the government?
For sure it could, and that was part of the question that I asked that she was responding to just there. Is this a precedent that he wants to set also for future administrations? I mean, the Trump administration is not going to be in power forever. There is an end date to President Trump's time in office, whether that's 2020 or 2024, and so other administrations could follow suit and do the same thing that he has done here. But yes, the broader, I think, question is the President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, trying to influence people who are criticizing him and to basically to give them an incentive or penalize them for being critical and to encourage them or push them towards curtailing their free speech that has been critical of him.
And Jeff, as we said earlier, the president is considering revoking the security clearances of other former top officials. Will the blowback the president received Wednesday have any effect, do you think, on his decision about these others?
I mean, looking back at President Trump's history, blowback does not usually have a huge effect on him in this way. So I suspect that it won't. And in fact, the blowback, at least from his own party, has been mixed. There were some lawmakers on Capitol Hill today who said they weren't upset about Brennan's security clearance being taken away and that they felt that he had behaved badly or inappropriately. On the other hand, there were others, including outgoing Senator Bob Corker, who said he didn't like it. And he felt like it was sort of a sign of a banana republic.
That's a big get there, banana republic. Now, on the topic of the president's critics, Omarosa Manigault Newman this week released taped conversations within the White House. As you know, she claims there's more. Do you have any sense if people in the administration are concerned about what Omarosa could release next?
Yes, I think that the reporting from colleagues in the White House press corps has suggested that people are absolutely concerned. Number one, because she seems to have these tapes, that she's already played a few of them in her interviews since she started promoting this book. And there's a question mark over what else she might have. And in fact, that's very connected to the first issue we talked about today just now, in that some people believe that the White House and the president released this statement statement about John Brennan and security clearances in order to move the conversation away from Omarosa, because she has sort of dominated the news cycle in the last few days, not only with her own revelations, but also with the reaction that President Trump has been emitting with his Twitter criticism of her.
Right. As Major Garrett pointed out earlier, the original press release from the president's office had an earlier date, which seems to indicate that this was, sort of an arbitrary decision to release it today.
It certainly seems to suggest that they had this in the hopper.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So your publication, Jeff, Reuters, reported Wednesday that a meeting is being planned for next week between Russian officials and U.S. Security Advisor John Bolton. This will be the first top-level meeting between the two countries since the Helsinki summit. After all the criticism from Helsinki, do we know anything about the White House's approach this time around?
Good question, and so far the answer to that is no. We don't have any specific details about what they intend to discuss in that meeting, but it is significant that they are following up, and it will be interesting to see if perhaps we get some more details from them, given that, honestly, a good month now after that Helsinki press conference, which was so controversial and which, people reviewed very badly generally for President Trump, we still don't know very much about what he discussed in his one-on-one meeting with President Putin, and the follow-up that John Bolton will now take part in, presumably is following up on some of the things that they discussed there. So we'll be asking those questions and hopefully getting some answers to them, either before or after that meeting.
All right, Jeff Mason in Washington, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.